Hey guys, welcome to the show. We're going to be doing GPITS today on the new platform I've got at auburnsports.com. And it's JG right here. You know that because it says my name right there. And then you know that's Neal McCready over there. Well, actually over there, I guess. And you know that because his name's under that. But you also probably know that because it's Neal and you love Neal. We all love Neal.
That is not true.
Oh, that is true. I think we all do. This is going to be GPITS episode 111. Coming to you live from Montgomery, Alabama, and Oxford, Mississippi. And I probably had the biggest weekend of the two of us because my daughter went through Rush at South Alabama last weekend, got her bid, thank goodness, and to the best sorority there is, which, as Neal would tell you.
Absolutely. Go Chi-O, baby.
Chi Omega. I mean, we know that. Everybody knows that. So we'll be talking about, I want to talk about photo snitching and this whole gotcha culture of we're going to send photographers out. Leif is in the chat, by the way. We love Leif. I saw he was on OEP earlier, too, because he's a badass. This idea of news organizations sending people to clubs on Friday night or Saturday night and taking pictures and being like, look at these kids are not wearing their masks. Gotcha. And I'm just like, I'm over it, man. I'm totally over it. Like, totally over it. Also want to talk about Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox, who's generally a pretty good dude. I don't really necessarily have a problem with him personally at all, but has gone ahead and closed bars in Tuscaloosa for 2 weeks, and he's asked the ABC board to suspend all walk-up alcohol sales, which would be, bars, or if you're in a restaurant that has a bar, to shut that bar down. The only way you could drink alcohol at a restaurant would be you're either going to sit and eat, you're going to dine in. And as of this moment, when we're taping this show on Monday afternoon, the numbers for Tuscaloosa have not been released. Now, I think they claim to be forthcoming, but we haven't gotten them yet. So it alarms me a little bit, Neal, that they would do things like this without even saying, like explaining, hey, there's been a huge uptick in this, that, or the other. They just kind of did it.
Yeah, it makes you question a lot of things. I mean, I'm to a place, and people know this, so people are mad at me for my stuff on Twitter. I get it, and I understand that I come across a little strong, but there's a lot of questions that I have, and people can't necessarily answer the questions, and it feels like some people have gone a little power hungry, and yeah, so we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, definitely want to do that.
What's that click that I'm hearing?
That is people chatting.
Okay, got it. That's what I kind of figured it was, but I wasn't sure because I can't see the chat the way our deal's done.
Oh, Leif says, does anyone else hear a clicking sound? Okay, so I've got to turn that off, which I think I can do right there. Corny Mofo says that Neal is louder than I am. Okay, I can fix that.
I was asked if I'm in the bathroom. I am not. I'm in the Clark Ford Studios. I am not in the restroom. That would be really weird.
Avery says Neal sounds like a robot. I may have a solution for that. Neal, talk about it a little bit there for a second.
Okay, I am right now in the Clark Ford Studios. I've got the NBA game on. As a lot of people know, I really like the NBA, and I just got through watching the Milwaukee Bucks take a 3-1 lead over the Orlando Magic, and I'm now watching the Oklahoma City Thunder try to tie up their series with the Houston Rockets. They are less than 1 minute into Game 4. The Rockets have a 3-2 lead. I'm going to guess that this game will not end at 3-2. There will be more points scored in this contest.
All right, they're having some issues with the sound. Although you sound fine over here, but they say that you sound tinny, and you don't sound tinny to me at all.
Huh. You want me to keep talking? Do some play-by-play. Danilo Gallinari with a three-pointer. The Thunder make my prediction come true. They're up 5-3 now. Houston misses on a three. Thunder into the front court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for three, and it's good. Thunder up 8-3 early in Orlando.
You're doing a hell of a job, Neal.
You know me, man. I'm a basketball play-by-play guy.
Count that out. Let's see if Neal sounds better now, guys.
Okay. Lou Dort with the 3. Thunder off to a hot start, up 11-3 over the Rockets. I'm going to guess that an 8-point lead will not be sufficient to put the Rockets away. Houston turns the ball over. It's an interesting little matchup in this game because Lou Dort gave James Harden fits the other night, and he's on him again today in this game. Houston once again playing without the services of former Thunder guard Russell Westbrook. So,
he's a fine young man, I think, in my opinion.
Did you watch much of the game 4 between the Clippers and the Mavs yesterday?
No.
The Luka Doncic game?
I didn't watch hardly any of that, honestly.
You don't really watch a lot of NBA, I don't think. Most people, I'm in the minority on it. I think I just love it, but I also live with a 13-year-old who's obsessed with it. So it gives us something to talk about if I watch it as well.
Yeah,
because he loves it. I mean, he has jerseys and the whole thing. I mean, he loves it.
I mean, everybody loves it, I think, except me. No, I do. I like I like the NBA. I just don't. I'm just not into sports right now, to be honest with you. Okay, it sounds like we're doing better on our volume, sir.
I'm just now, to your point, I'm just now getting to a place, Jay, where I'm like enjoying writing about the football because I'm not necessarily as negative about, oh man, it was for a little while there, it was kind of hard for me to write about football until I was just felt confident that there was going to be football.
Yeah.
I had a hard time doing it, and people would say, hey man, where's the football content? And I would think that's a fair question, and I need to produce it. I had a really hard time doing it. Like I would get almost writer's block when I would sit down to try to write a football kind of a thing. Took me just only in the last 10 days or so have I been able to do it and actually enjoy writing about football. I think because I'm just now getting to a place where I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a season.
You feel like, yeah, we've got a real shot now, and that's a great feeling. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's for the first time that I feel like it wouldn't be an upset if there weren't football. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I just there was a little period there where I thought this thing is so tenuous. I just had a hard time with it. We all did, and I got to give the SEC a ton of credit. I think they've handled this really well.
There's no doubt. Okay, so we'll talk about photo snitches, Walt Maddox, Luka Doncic. We got to talk about that. And we got to talk about the fact that Montrezl Harrell wants to call him a, quote, bitch-ass white boy.
Yep.
To which, to give the guy credit, he tried to phone, or he successfully phoned Doncic to say, I'm sorry about that. And Doncic's response was, what are you apologizing for? I mean, I'm sure he's heard that about 1 trillion times. And when Montrezl Harrell tells everybody that he doesn't mean that in a racist way, I completely believe him.
I absolutely believe him. Yeah, we'll talk about it. I mean, I was watching it when it happened. It was kind of old school NBA. I mean, those two teams were just going at each other hard. It was physical, and Luka's a bad boy, and and they're trying to figure out different ways to stop him. And this is his first ever playoff series, and I think the one thing that they're learning is that pissing him off is probably not the way to go about it. And but it was yet on the other hand, when you are being as socially vocal as the NBA is being, and something like that happens where Harrell refers to race, it's going to create the discussion, the conversation. Absolutely. And so, because here's the thing, and you know this, if Luka Doncic had said to Montrezl Harrell in the exact same moment, heat of the moment, playoff series, hey, bitch-ass black boy, it's a problem.
It's a problem. And that's what Jay Williams was saying on ESPN.
Yeah.
And I agree with him completely. So
he's right. Yeah, given the current climate, when you have Black Lives Matter on the floor and when you have, equality and things like that on the back of your jerseys,
that's what you're looking at.
You've got to take that seriously. And so, that's what Doc Rivers said to I guess, to ESPN yesterday, and he's exactly right. It was just heat of the moment and all of that, but you do sacrifice some of the benefit of the doubt when that happens. But the NBA, to its credit, has pretty consistently not punished guys for what they said on the floor.
Yeah.
I said this on my podcast a minute ago. The only time that they've ever done it, to my knowledge, was when Kobe Bryant, a decade ago probably,
he called a homosexual slur at a ref, right?
At a ref who was gay, and the NBA fined him pretty heavily. Yeah. And Kobe immediately felt bad about it. I mean, it was one of the low points of his playing career.
Yeah.
But I think they fined him $100,000 and all that stuff. But there was no reason to fine Montrezl Harrell. It was just a moment, Can you imagine how many times Larry Bird was whatever white boy until they got to a point where they're like, this dude is good. We don't need to upset him.
I'm sure Doncic has heard that too.
It's
just.
Of course. Yeah. Dirk Nowitzki's heard that. JJ Redick's heard that. I mean, if you're a white player in a predominantly black league, and the NBA is, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but you are a minority.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. You're gonna hear some of that stuff, so it is what it is.
We do have sound effects and stuff like this one right here when Gabe starts talking about how he doesn't have any friends. Sorry, Gabe. All right, we got plenty of topics here. If we have to, we can talk about. I'm listening to a podcast about Dolly Parton. Love Dolly Parton, by the way, and even she has moments where it's tough for her to kind of stay neutral, and she's the most neutral person in America. So anyway, we can get into that if we get into that. I am ready to go. The taper is ready to go, which means we are ready to go. So,
all right, well, let's do it then.
Let's do it.
3, 2. Welcome into another edition of Greatest Pod in the South, sponsored and presented by Automation and Control Systems, LLC. I'm Neal McCready in the Clark Ford Studios in Oxford, Mississippi. JG Tate joins me now back from Mobile, back in his palatial digs there in Montgomery, Alabama. We'll get to Jay in a little bit. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. We'll break down all these NBA series that Jay is following so closely. We'll talk some football. We'll talk some coronavirus. There's stuff going on. We'll get to it. Big weekend for the Tates as young Maddie Tate, who is a freshman at the University of South Alabama, got her sorority bid yesterday. It was bid day. We'll find out. I'm curious since I have a daughter who is on the other side of Rush this year, and then a daughter who will be on that side of Rush next year. Good Lord willing. So we'll find out how that went. First, let me tell you about ACS. ACS is owned by Clay McNutt in Baldwin, Mississippi. Established in 2013, ACS is a complete electrical control system solution provider and a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. ACS has a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff and a UL 508A panel shop. They can custom tailor software packages, custom design electrical control panel solutions, and so much more. ACS is a full-service AutoCAD systems provider and a full-service fiber optic cabling solution provider. So if you're in need of custom HMI and SCADA solutions or large horsepower VFD specialist, ACS has you covered. They can service and install Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, Siemens, ABB, Square D, and many other manufacturers. For more information or to get in touch with ACS, go to acsllcms.com. Again, acsllcms.com, or call 662-601-4381. As I mentioned earlier, I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for, and he'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You'll love the service. You'll love the product. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove it to you when you make the call. 662-257-1900. 1900. Mr. Tate, how are you?
Oh, I couldn't be better. Yesterday having a chance, even though bid day at my daughter's college at South Alabama was all virtual. Well, it wasn't, the whole day wasn't virtual, but Rush was all virtual until that point. Man, so stoked. She finally got to the end of the road, and it was a finish that we had been waiting for. She ended up going Chi-O, which is what my wife was or is, depending on how you look at that. And, yeah, that was huge. Really, really fired up about that, and it worked out. That's she going through. She liked Chi-O. She favored Chi-O. She felt like, even though she had a family deal with the Chi-Os, she would have been a double legacy because her aunt was a Chi-O as well. It just turned out that those were the girls that she liked the most too, even though she had a great experience with several of the other sororities. But yeah, she wanted Chi-O. She ended up getting Chi-O, and just it was a very happy, joyous situation. I'm sure similar to what you experienced last year with your daughter Campbell at University of Arkansas.
So I know that South Alabama, the whole thing was virtual.
Correct.
After they got through with the virtual part of it, was there ever a moment where it was in person?
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, bid day itself was virtual. It stunk, because the best part of bid day is running out and kind of getting swarmed by your new, in her case, sorority sisters, for me, brothers, whatever.
Sure.
And that didn't happen. So what she got is like an email. They had like a virtual card that said, the sisters of Chi Omega would like to welcome you, et cetera, et cetera. And she started crying, and she was really, really fired up. Then they had like a Zoom presentation where all the girls from the chapter, there were 200 people or 250 people on the Zoom call, which is way more than I've ever seen myself. And they did a big production, welcoming everybody. And then she had a couple girls actives come by and pick her up from her dorm. And they went out to dinner, and they kind of told her, hey, welcome to the family. We love you, blah, blah, blah. Then she got to go to the house for about 2 hours. And they did lots of photo shoots and everything like that. And their social chairman, I guess, put out a bunch of stuff on their Instagram, welcoming each girl to the sorority. I mean, it was just really nice for an old guy like me to see how coordinated it was and how deep it went. Everybody seemed like everybody was doing something to kind of help these girls feel welcome. And Maddie, she could not have been more stoked about it. And she's just she's already changed all her profile information that says proud member of Chi Omega, and she's wearing a Chi-O stuff today. And it's just
that's awesome.
And she was already having a great experience at college, and this just made it all the better. I mean, it just really, it's 100 out of 100 so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. It was so funny because it did kind of remind me of last year with Campbell, and this year it was being on the other side of it. It was funny because I normally wouldn't care at all about all that kind of stuff, and Campbell was telling us about all the stuff they were doing to try to make it, because Arkansas's was virtual as well. All the stuff they were doing to try to make it feel cool for the girls because they weren't going to get to do the, like you said, where they go at Arkansas. What they do in a normal non-COVID year is they all go to the big auditorium, an outdoor amphitheater kind of a thing in the middle of the campus, and they all open their cards at the same time, and then they go running to the house that they're going to. And they didn't, obviously, they all didn't get to do that. So they did some stuff where they made them feel good. But scientifically, it was very important that I thought it was so funny. I was laughing at this because the video is coming out of Arkansas, right? So all these girls are crammed into a dorm room. I mean, there's 12 of them in one little room, and they all have their laptops or their phones or whatnot. And they tell them at the exact same time, okay, open your emails now. And so they're all opening their emails, and you hear them going, mine won't refresh. And then they all get it, and they're getting a bid, and they're screaming, and they're hugging, and they're running down the hall and hugging and screaming. And the virus can't pass like that. Apparently, it doesn't pass like that. But later in the morning, they could go 40 at a time to the house that they had pledged to, Tridelt or Chi-O or Katie or whatever. And apparently, if you only have 40 at once, it's okay. If you go 41 and over, it's bad. So anyway, I'm making fun. I'm glad. I caught myself on Saturday night because Laura and Caroline went up to Fayetteville to take some stuff to Campbell because she moved into the Chi-O house on Saturday, and I was watching some of the videos, and I was watching videos of kids that I don't know, and I was just happy for them that it worked out, because we did, and I know people belittle this and go, oh, who cares? It's just Rush or whatever. And that's fine if you feel that way. But there are a lot of those kids that have looked forward to that moment for a long time, and they never envisioned that it would be virtual, of all things.
I know.
You join a sorority or a fraternity for the camaraderie and the companionship and all of those things. And when you do it virtually, it's kind of weird. But like you, I was, and I'm sure this has been this way at almost every university out there. They have done a good job of making it as special and cool or whatever as they can be. That first, when that's one of your first things in college, like I'm sure South was their first day of school actually today.
No, it was last week.
Okay. Like at a lot of at Arkansas, their first day of class was today. So Saturday was the culmination of a week where that's all they had done, for a week. And so I don't know, you do want that to be a good experience and to be a launching pad into what you hope is a good freshman year.
That's what happened for me, man. I mean, I got hooked in with the Pikes right away at Transylvania University, and it just made my freshman year sail by because I came in from a long way away. I was 700 miles away. I went to high school in Tulsa and then went to school in Lexington, Kentucky. So I needed some peoples, and they were there for me. So hopefully that's exactly the experience that Maddie's going to be able to enjoy at South Alabama. And I'm fired up that it's Cayo because I know them and I love them. And, of course, your daughter's one, and my daughter's one, and one of her best friends from high school is one at Troy. So they all kind of, I don't know about Maddie and Campbell hanging out because they're a long way away. But, it's just kind of cool to see everybody growing up and having success.
Yeah, of course.
Doing the things that they want to do. Although like I said, the virtual rush to me was a little bit weird, but whatever.
What do you do?
Yeah, you do the best you can, but it all worked out. If you don't know any different, for her, this is the only bid day she's ever going to have, and she enjoyed the hell out of it because she had a chance to kind of get to know some of the girls. I mean, anyway. And she put her mom's jersey on, the letters that Courtney wore on her bid day. It was pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
That was really cool.
The other thing that I thought was cool, just watching the videos from Arkansas, is those kids in that dorm. They're all in that boat together, and you saw a lot of the whole really supporting one another. Like, they were found out their bid, and then they'd run to another house and run to another room, and they were celebrating with other kids, because they got a bid to something else. And I don't know, it was kind of neat, People make fun of that generation a lot. And you and I know, you've heard me say this. I catch myself defending that generation a lot. And I don't know. I kind of thought it was sort of emblematic. We throw a curveball at them and they hang with it.
Yeah, I know that people like to make fun of the younger generation, and it jives into one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, which is this whole gotcha thing that's been going on. I don't know if it's been going on in the state of Mississippi, but over here in Alabama, AL.com and the OA News for sure. Now, this might be going on in Tuscaloosa, too. I could just speak in the Auburn zone. They're sending folks out on Friday and Saturday nights, like downtown Auburn, like taking videos and photos of kids reveling and hanging out in bars without their masks on and stuff like that. And it just seems like it's such a gotcha thing. Like, let's show that these kids are just absolute idiots, and that's not what we're proving. I don't know what the goal here is, but it's backfiring, I think. I don't understand it, and I don't see any value in this.
The pushback's happening. First, I'll tell you this. I've watched AL.com the last couple of weeks, and they are absolutely just terrified of everything. And I know it's clickbait, but you're coming across, fellas, in case you happen to hear this, and ladies, as terrified, paranoid. And if I hear one more person, Jay, and I grow weary of this, we absolutely, if we want football, okay, well, not everybody who goes to college for the football. That is not universal.
It is not.
I like football. I cover football. I need football to be played. But it would be a remarkably selfish thing on my part if I thought everyone needs to be singularly focused on football. That's insane. You're making faces. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I was just messing with my camera. That's all. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you're good.
Doing a great job. I completely agree with what you're saying, and I think AL.com, I don't want to call them out personally, but just this whole concept of.
I can't stand them. They're clickbait. They've always been clickbait. That's what they do. They've been clickbait ever since they formed their little thing and they got away from newspapers. And shame on them. I mean, you can do all that crap and you can be as unprofessional as you want to be, but at least have a little. If you only read AL.com, you would think that this is the single most lethal virus in the history of man. You would think that young people at college were dropping like flies, and they're not.
They're not, particularly in this age range. Definitely not. I can't speak for Alabama or Auburn or Ole Miss because I haven't been there lately, but I've been on the campus at South Alabama a bunch lately, and my experience is that the kids are doing what I would consider to be a very good job trying to be smart about things while at the same time, recognizing that you can't do it perfectly in a dorm. You can't be separated from everybody all the time in a dorm. But at South Alabama, they have hand washing or they have stations where you can get the hand sanitizer all over the place. People are wearing masks on campus. The kids are wearing masks on campus. They did the socially distant bid day to a degree that I thought was really pretty remarkable. I mean, you put all those girls in the Cayo house, and they were all wearing masks and being smart about it. I don't think they're terrified. These girls are not terrified. They're not at all, and I don't think they should.
And they shouldn't be.
Right.
Because listen, Jay, here are the numbers. Ages 15 to 24, there have been 190 COVID deaths.
All right.
Okay. Out of a population of 43,106,000 and change. That means that your risk of dying is 1 in 226,878.
That's not
a big number. Your risk of dying if you're female is 453,757. And then here's the big one. Your risk of dying if you're healthy, and this is not shaming anyone who's not healthy.
Right.
But if you are healthy, and most young people are, your risk of dying in the age 15 to 24 age range of COVID, not with COVID, of COVID, is 1 in 1,134,392. It is the equivalent of your risk of drowning, statistically.
Mm-hmm. Well, Maddie's roommate.
We're not closing all the swimming pools.
I want to think about this. Now, Maddie's roommate had cancer last year, and she, had some pretty serious treatment, and she's someone that's got to keep an eye out for what's going on.
Yes.
She's not worried. Now, she's smart. She wears a mask a lot, and she's probably a little more fastidious about it than the others are. But the other girls know her story, that she had thyroid cancer, and they're careful around her. But is she terrified? No. Is she going about her life like normal and just being smart about it? Yes. It's okay even for her. Now, she's 18 years old. She's still very young, and I think she's healthy as can be right now. But folks in her position need to be a little bit more careful, and she's a little more careful, but she's not letting it terrify her all the time, and good for her. The kids are not freaking out. Like you mentioned earlier, it really does seem like it's the journalists and a lot of the weird people on Twitter that are the ones that are like crusading like this. It is not filtered down to the kids. Because I'm telling you, at South Alabama right now, the kids are not scared. The kids are pragmatic. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and it's nice to see. I mean, it really is. As an old person,
would they be scared?
It shouldn't be.
Why would they be scared?
But they're being appropriately careful, just not scared. There's a difference there, and it's an important difference.
I mean, we're scaring the journalism out there. I'm sorry, but I'm so tired of journalism, man. And like Gabe gets mad at me when I do this.
Well,
but I'm sick of it.
He's coming from a slightly different place, right?
I know, and I love Gabe. He's awesome. Congratulations to his son, by the way, University of Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know if is that known.
I don't know if it's known or not. I saw it probably shouldn't, but it is now.
Who knows?
But if you're age 5 to 14,
yeah,
we're terrifying people about elementary kids going back to school. I know everybody goes, oh well, you just want the teachers to die. I come from my family. Both of my parents were teachers. I don't want teachers to die. That's insane. But the kids, If you're 5 to 14, there have been a total of 16 COVID deaths.
Well, I do want to say this. So my wife runs a child care center. I'm not going to say which one, but here in Montgomery, a fairly big one. And she had a kid, I don't know the exact age, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere between 4 and 8, test positive.
Yeah. Okay.
Asymptomatic. Kid's fine. Kid is still fine. The kid's going to be fine. The mom was a little sick, but the mom's my age. And, yeah, anyway, so that resulted in the center being shut down completely for 3 days. And then the state said that she had to shut down half her center for 14 days, which to me is just absolutely overkill.
It is absolutely overkill. To finish my point, a kid 5 to 14, it's a 1 in 12.8 million.
She's fine.
Of death.
They're going to be fine.
The equivalent of the risk that you take of dying in an earthquake.
The state wants to be very careful, but I just think we're
overkilling it. It's become overkill. It has become overkill, and the pushback is happening. People are tired of it, and now there's conversations about herd immunity, and now you hear these people go, well, you can get reinfected. There's one documented case of reinfection, and that person, the second time was asymptomatic, and it was much smaller.
Right. I thought that was the virologist from Yale, I believe, is the one you were talking about, who was kind of explaining that on Twitter, that the person who was actually, we know, was reinfected by a different strain of the virus and ended up was asymptomatic the second time around, was showing that's exactly the way you want bodies to handle it. That
yes,
you're building up immunity and you're getting better fighting it. I don't know or she didn't think that we would ever get true completely lack of disease through regular herd immunity. She thinks it's going to require a vaccination.
Sure,
which we're working on. We're going to get that.
We have flu vaccines for that very reason.
Now, Rob here on the
but
chat,
we've not eradicated the influenza virus. It's still there.
It's still there, and it still kills people. Rob from the chat says it's okay. The virus ends November 3rd. This is a very popular meme that people are throwing around. Neal, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what? My thought on that is it shows you the level of distrust that's happening with people.
But that's not true, right? I mean, the virus is going to be here on November 15th or whatever.
I mean, yeah, obviously. But you understand his point. His point is that this is where our field, you and I talked about this months ago on this show. Our field has lost credibility. Whether we should or shouldn't have is for someone else to debate, but people don't trust us right now.
Correct.
And so they don't listen. They ignore. We're the boy that cried wolf.
A lot of sports writers think they know everything about it too, on both sides of the issue, and I think it hurts. Because once you're wrong on that, Neal, you're not wrong about Ole Miss very much. But maybe you're wrong on some of the virus stuff, or maybe you're going to be right on. And if you're right on, then probably somebody else like Mike Farrell or whoever's going to be wrong.
Well, my deal is not even about wanting to be right or wrong. I mean, I would hope that we're all on the same page. I would hope that we're all on the page of, hey, let's do what we can to eliminate it, do what we can to lessen the risk and that kind of thing. But I'm not on team shutdown. I'm not for that. I'm consistently said that. I don't think it makes logical sense to make young people stop their lives for a virus that doesn't kill them.
It doesn't.
I've said that consistently. And when people say, well, they get sick. Okay, well, they get sick with the flu and we don't stop the world.
True.
So I'm consistent on this, and I have been for months now, and I think I've told you this. I think history is not going to judge our generation, and certainly not going to judge our field well at all when this book is written years from now.
In that vein, Mayor Walt Maddox from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, today released or unveiled some pretty serious steps he's going to be taking in Tuscaloosa, home of the University of Alabama, to try to curb, again, some of this disease that he says is rampant in his town, although he has not, at least as of the time of this taping, released any data to back him up. I don't think he's just pulling it out of his ass myself. But anyway, bars, establishments that just exist to be a bar have been shut down for 2 weeks in Tuscaloosa now. So they're going to be shut downs for 2 weeks. And then he is asking the ABC board. So in our state, it may be the same in Mississippi, the state controls liquor sales. He is asking the ABC board to alcohol and beverage control to stop walk-up sales of all liquor for 2 weeks, meaning you can't go into a restaurant, order a drink, and bounce. Basically, if you go to a restaurant that has a bar associated with it, you cannot go to the bar and get it. The only way you can buy alcohol at a restaurant would be to sit down and dine in, and then they can serve it to you. I don't really get the distinction as far as the virus goes. And they have done a lot of restrictive stuff at University of Alabama, as far as particularly in the Greek sector, where even girls and guys in their fraternity and sorority houses can only eat at a certain number of people at a time. They suspended all Greek events. They're going way out of their way to try to break up all the social stuff that's going on at University of Alabama. I know this is something that's happening at a lot of schools. And to me, my reaction is the same as yours, Neal. I don't understand what you're going to accomplish here. If you're an 80-year-old cancer patient, I strongly suggest you stay away from a college campus right now. I mean, it's not somewhere you need to be. But if you're a 20-year-old kid, I just don't see the danger, and I don't understand why we're panicking about this.
What is the goal?
What is the goal? Well, he's going to say,
I'm asking you, what is the goal?
It's going to be to depopulate the ICU at the Tuscaloosa Regional Medical Center, probably, or whatever. It's going to be a stated goal. But does that actually happen? Avery asks, so you can just get a table and order only margaritas. As I understand it, yes, you can do that. But you can't just come in, order a margarita, and bounce. You know, like at Bullwinkle's down at FSU or Sky Bar at Auburn or at Funky's, frankly. I mean, you can go to Funky's. You can't eat at Funky's. But when I go to Funky's, I'm going there to drink and hang out, you know. This doesn't bound by Oxford. They're not having to deal with this. But if Funky's were in Tuscaloosa, they would be affected by this. And I think it stinks.
Yeah, there are no places I don't think in Mississippi, and I could certainly be off here. I don't think there are places where you can go get a drink and bounce and walk. But scientifically, wouldn't you be better off getting your drink and bouncing than you would be sitting inside the restaurant?
I'm not really saying open carry. I'm just saying like a place that exists as a bar does not exist as a restaurant, right?
So what the mayor of Tuscaloosa is saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the virus is specifically picking on people who only drink? That if you put an entree in front of you, that the virus is going to be confused by the mozzarella sticks or whatever, yes, or the plate of wings, and the virus is going to leave?
That will inoculate you temporarily while you're drinking your beer, yes. Again, I think
that's insane, man.
It's nonsensical. And better yet, Meemaw, our governor over here, like immediately jumped in and said, "Great idea, way to be, Walt." And I was like, "Meemaw, come on, for reals?"
Well, she did that thing. If you want football, stop.
I don't really know what this means, but Mexican Narwhal says Oxford ICU is dripping like a rock. What does that mean?
I would think he means dropping. Ask him to specify. I don't know what dripping would mean.
Well, you know, a lot of kids talk about the drip, but that usually means like you've got style or swag. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think the Oxford ICU is overwhelmed.
Well, you would know. You live there.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily know. But I don't think it is.
I'm pretty proud of our state, though. We've been doing a much better job with our numbers. I mean, you know, we got the safer home order.
Can I play devil's advocate for a moment?
Oh boy, here we go. Yes, sir.
First of all, I'm glad that the numbers in Alabama have gone down. That's super.
I'm glad that you feel that way about us. If your numbers were better, I feel the same way about the Magnolia State.
But is it possible that the numbers in both Alabama and Mississippi are getting better because the virus has done what the virus is going to do?
Don't you start devaluing the work that we have done in this state.
But is it not possible? Is it not possible that the numbers are going down because the virus has worked its way through the population? There's a degree of herd immunity that has been gained, and that it follows the same path most everywhere. That there's a reason that the virus is virtually non-existent in New York now. And it has nothing to do with 14-day lockdowns. It has to do with the fact that the virus has worked its way through and it doesn't have that many targets to capture it anymore.
Rob D asks, Neal, what's going on with the Grove this year as far as tailgating? Can you tailgate? Can one tailgate in the Grove this year?
As of this moment, no, you cannot. No tailgate. The governor announced last week no tailgating on college campuses. So if you're going to a game at Ole Miss or Southern Miss or Mississippi State or Delta State or whatnot, there's no tailgating is allowed.
That stinks. A lot of hot girls there.
25% capacity in the stadiums, 50% inside the suites, because the suites are like a restaurant because food is served. So even though technically one would think that you would be more at risk of catching the virus in an indoor setting like a suite, more people will be allowed in the suites than will be allowed out in the bowl of the stadium, where there's, of course but the virus is tricked. The virus is tricked. This is a tricky, conniving little virus, and you have to throw curveballs to it.
Point to Neal McGrady.
You go.
Mexican Narwhal jumped in and said he meant dropping. So the statement was Oxford ICU is dropping like a rock. I guess that's good, right?
It's excellent.
Okay, good.
Now the healthcare provider in Mississippi, the head guy, the Mississippi's Fauci, it's a guy named Dobbs, and Dobbs said that, go ahead, doctors, get your elective surgeries done now because we're going to have an explosion here in 2 or 3 weeks because of the colleges. And my response to that is, how the hell do you know that? Based on what?
Just warning people.
Yeah, I know, but it's not warning. That's fear-mongering.
Well, he's in the business of fear-mongering.
Well, if in 3 weeks we don't have an explosion, do you come back and go, this is what drives me crazy. This is where people are losing their minds. This is where the pushback's coming from. If in 3 weeks we don't have that explosion, they aren't going to come out and go, hey, you know what? We were wrong. Thank God we were wrong. It's not that bad. Maybe it's time that we kind of open some things up. That's where this is going to go till November the 3rd comes from. It comes from people who have just lost trust in the government, the different states and things like that. And it's the Big Ten football thing we talked about a week ago. What was their decision based on? They still can't tell you. And even when you tell them that the study that they used is debunked by medical people, we did it anyway.
One thing we never lose trust of is our friends at Cathead Distillery, who make incredible products. So many delicious spirits. I always have a bottle of Old Soul with me, and I trust them to make a delicious bourbon. That the name is great, Old Soul. It tastes older than it is. And I just had some of this the other day on one of our weekday shows because it was so good. It's a great daily drinker. Other things you can get from Cathead include their vodkas that are just unbelievable. You can do so much with them. They have the regular vodka. They have the honeysuckle vodka. They also have the pecan vodka, which you can make your Mississippi Mule with. A delicious beverage, by the way, particularly frozen. Your after-dinner drink, they got you covered on that with the Hoodoo Chicory Liqueur, the Bristow Gin, if you're into that kind of a thing. Gin and tonics sometimes hit me just right when I'm thirsty for a lovely summer beverage.
Oh, that Bristow Gin and the frozen gin and tonic is some kind of good.
And I just can't hardly do it without my Comfort & Mercy hand sanitizer. We bought a case of this, which I believe was 10 bottles, and we've been filling up our little aerosol sprayers. Everybody's got one in the car, and I just absolutely load up my hands when I'm done, in a restaurant or I'm at somewhere shopping or whatever. And it just gives me, it's not sticky. It's got that, hey, your hands are clean feel. And obviously they're doing the job because I haven't gotten the Rona yet, even though I've been out a bunch. So Comfort & Mercy hand sanitizer is something you may not be expecting from Cathead Distillery, but they do make it. And it is a great product if you're looking for sanitizers. It's my favorite, and I hate it when I'm in a situation where I can't use it. And again, when we took it to Gatlinburg to give to our friends, they loved it, and they've asked for more, and they went and ordered their own. So Cathead's got you covered at catheaddistillery.com. Again, that's a company based in Jackson, Mississippi. Some guys that are just kind of enterprising fellas. I wouldn't want to say they're too young. They're about my age. But breaking into the spirits business is tough work. And they're up for the task every single day. They've built that brand from the ground up, and they make some delicious stuff. I cannot wait until this virus relents a little bit and or the government relents a little bit, and we can go back to doing some live shows at the distillery because it's a wonderful place to go. Major M is one of our all-time favorite guys. Big supporter of what we were doing here from show one, and those guys have always been supportive. So check them out if you get a chance. Cathead Distillery, you will not be disappointed. It's good stuff, and I drink it all the time myself.
Yeah, I think we will. I don't know about you, but like things like a party at Cathead, I will never take that for granted again. Not that I did before, but I will be even more appreciative moving forward.
Word.
just kind of miss stuff like that. And I'm not the people person you are. I mean, I do think about that kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, my brother's a lot like you. He's very social, needs social stuff. You take that away from people, and you are taking something away from people.
Yeah, it hurts. Something I found very odd today, the AP decided to put out their poll, their preseason poll, and in it, they asked their voters to go ahead and include teams that are not going to be playing football this year.
They're not going to be losing football games. So if you think about it, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten should be 1 through whatever that is.
That's
because
true.
They ain't losing.
Oregon State ain't losing either. I mean, this could be a big year for the Beavs.
Beavs are going undefeated. The Beavers are going undefeated this year.
That makes
USC
no sense.
undefeated this year. Arizona State unbeaten.
Why would you include teams in your poll that can't play and won't play? It's so stupid. And now they actually put Ohio State 2. I think in aggregate, I think there were 8 or 9 teams that will not be in the top 25 because they're not going to play this year, which seems just really, really stupid. Both now, not playing and why would you consider them if they're not even going to play?
What I love, here's what drives me crazy, is all the voters, and again, this is making fun of our stupid field full of stupid people.
We're not voters.
But if I were a voter and they said, well, you can vote for Big Ten teams, I'd have been like, well, why would I?
Mm-hmm.
You can vote for big Pac-12 teams, but they're not playing. I mean, I would have looked at it and I would have put together a list of SEC schools and ACC schools and Big 12 schools and American AAC schools. And I guess I would have looked at the Sun Belt and CUSA and said, all right, well, this is my pool. Now I'll start sorting the teams. You'd have Clemson and Alabama and all that, but you wouldn't have Ohio State. They're not playing. You'd have Oklahoma, but you wouldn't have Michigan State or Michigan or USC or Oregon or those schools that normally are in the preseason polls because they're always good. I'd look at it and go, okay, well, I can put Auburn here, and I got Tennessee that I can put here, and I got Florida that I can put here, but I can't. I'm not going to be able to put Iowa in this ranking because they're not going to play.
They're not playing.
So why, when all the writers do it, well, they told us that we should evaluate it. Yeah, but can you not think enough for yourself to go, but they're not going to play?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand it, man. I really don't. Like, sometimes I think we are just a bunch of geese. Just getting in line.
Gooses. I don't know what you're talking about, Rocky.
Is it all over, Rock? I guess so.
Oh, my goodness. There it goes. A little Rocky and Bullwinkle for you there, Neal.
I know. I like that show. It's a good show.
You know what Neal wants to say? He wants to walk up to the Big Ten commissioner and say this.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei.
Yeah. That's how we do things right there. Well, anyway, I agree with you about the sheep thing, man. I really resisted, and I was on Team Gabe in this fight for a long time, but there's been some tweets in the last week or so that just, what are you doing?
Well, it's not everybody, and in fact, most people are fine. It's not everybody.
I really try to stay out of it myself.
But there are some that are absolutely cheering for it to all get shut down.
What?
They want it to be shut down because they'll be right.
But you're a sports writer. You're not an immunologist. Like, nobody cared anyway. Maybe Clay Travis has dug into the point where he's got to be win or lose. But, like, you're just average ass dude like me. Let's just say I had been crusading on Twitter all this time. Whether I'm right or I'm wrong, who gives a shit?
Nobody does.
I write about Auburn. I know about FIFA, Call of Duty, and chicks that I knew were hot 25 years ago. I mean, that's my area of expertise. Oh, and bourbon.
But you need Auburn to play.
Hell yes. In fact, if anything, I'm a terrible person to be talking about it because I have a personal vested interest in this. I really like this house, and I'd like to continue paying my mortgage. So
you need Auburn to play football games.
Hell yeah, I do.
I mean, I need Ole Miss to play football games. No question about it. And then, I like sports. So I want them to play. I want to watch the NFL.
Hell yeah. Of course you do.
I mean, yeah, so I don't know. It's a weird. So the whole dynamic's been strange. And so when people say, well, the deal is that you guys are just political, talking about our field as a whole, I can't argue with that. I can't sit here and tell you, no, there's no political bias. that's factoring into this. This is just empathetic, concerned citizens, and we want football to be played, but only if everyone's going to be safe. This is the same field that, I mean, how many of these people have spent the last 2 or 3 years crusading about CTE?
Well,
no, hold on, follow along.
All right.
If the goal is the games have to be safe, okay, then we need to be talking more about CTE. It's a problem. You understand it when you play. That, hey, this is a game of collisions, and it's been proven that too many concussions can lead to bad outcomes. Never seen some of these other people that are suddenly so concerned about, myocardosis. Is that how you say it?
Myocarditis? I don't know.
Myocarditis, I think you're right.
All right.
All of a sudden, I'd never seen Dan Wolken talking about myocarditis before.
Oh, I don't want to start with Dan Wolken. He's not correct. He's not. Why are we even?
But any of them. I never seen them talking about it. And now all of a sudden they're talking about it. Why were you not talking about this before? You're not talking about CTE. You're not talking about a lot of things.
Well, that's because those guys get told what to say by the big leagues, right? So the Big Ten leaked that information about, we had a doctor at blah, blah, blah talk to us about myocarditis, and now this is a really big issue for us because we had a kid at Indiana who had it, and he's nervous right now. Not talking down about the kid at Indiana. That's a real thing for him. But, there's weird stuff going on at Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn, LSU, everywhere. I mean, there's a couple kids here and a couple kids there. Auburn had a kid named Andre Wadley 15 years ago. He couldn't play anymore because he had a weird heart issue. Now he's a strength and conditioning coach. I mean.
Well, yeah, and it's what drives me crazy is we're going to have – these teams are going to test 3 times a week. They're going to be safer from a football standpoint than from avoiding the virus or treating the virus as soon as it's caught standpoint. They're going to be super safe. Kids at SEC schools are going to test what? Is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday, Wednesday, Friday?
3 times.
I mean, damn.
Auburn had 0 tests the last 2 weeks, so that's 6 rounds of testing. 0 positives. They did have an outbreak about a month ago, but it's been good since then.
Yeah, they have some herd immunity.
Here he goes. Hey, somebody wanted to ask an actual question.
They do.
Though. Has Ole Miss announced their starting quarterback? Rob D asks.
No, they have not asked their starting quarterback, but the leader in the clubhouse right now is Matt Corral.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, it's the same at Auburn. It's probably going to be Pat Nix, right? I mean, it could be Kalen Newton. You never know, but it's probably going to be Bo Nix. Did you know that Cam Newton's little brother is at Auburn now?
No, I didn't know that. I mean, if you told me that there was even a quarterback competition at Auburn, I would have been floored. Give me a break. That kid's good.
Oh, no, there's not. I was just kind of teasing, but
okay.
They did, even though you know this, and I know this, that Bo Nix is a good player, and he's the unquestioned quarterback at Auburn. They had 2 grad transfer quarterbacks come in this year. A kid, Kalen Newton, who played at Howard last year, and then a kid from Bowling Green State, Grant Loy. So it's like, what are y'all going to do? They're going to do something else, I reckon.
Guys like that coming in so that they can learn Malzahn's system and because they want to go into coaching.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, I'm pretty good. I won a lot of games.
Well, I mean, sometimes that happens, though. Like guys will transfer to a school because they want to learn from that coach. They want to get into that system.
Maybe that's what it is. The thing is, I can't even talk to Grant Loy. I'd like to talk to him about it because he was playing at Bowling Green with Scott Loeffler, who was the offensive coordinator here several years ago and was not very good in that role. In fact, you could argue that Scott Loeffler hasn't been very good in that role anywhere, but he's now the head coach at Bowling Green. I wonder what he would have to say about Scott Loeffler. But I think he's going to come here and play special teams and maybe play some wide receiver or something like that. Same for Kalen Newton. So anyway, just thought you would know a little piece of trivia there that Cam Newton's younger brother is at Auburn right now playing football.
How about that? I did not know that.
Now, he is not related to Luka Doncic, and that's probably a good thing because Luka Doncic would need to be a starter. Whatever he's doing, wherever he is, that kid went off in a way that we rarely see in the world of sports the other day. I know Neal was really fired up. He personally pulled the Mavericks even in that series with the Clips. Is that an 8-1 or a 7-2? What is that?
It is a 7-2. The Clippers are the 2 seed. Dallas is the 7 seed.
It is now all square after Luka Doncic hit officially a 28-foot game winner, fall away. Incredible shot. He had finished that game with 43 points, 17 rebounds, 13 assists. And if there's any doubt that Luka Doncic is, the up-and-coming star of the NBA, that was alleviated right there. I think that's the kind of shot where you go, shit, this dude really got it.
Yeah, he's 21 years old. It was a transcendent moment in his career, and it came on the heels of Friday night, where the Clippers took a 2-1 lead on Friday night, and early in that game, Montrezl Harrell, the very talented forward for the Clippers, had specific words for Luka Doncic. He called him a bitch-ass white boy.
Yes, he did.
And the camera caught it. And it was a post-game discussion, and it was a conversation all day Saturday. And on Sunday, Harrell apologized to the league. He apologized to Luka Doncic. He talked to his coach about it, all that stuff. But, and let me make this clear. I don't think anything should happen to Montrezl Harrell. I think it was heat of the moment.
No.
It was heat of the moment. It was chippy basketball. I told Carson, we were watching it on Friday night. I'm like, man, this is like old school basketball. This is like Pistons Bulls back in the day, Pistons Celtics back in the day when those teams didn't like each other. There was talk, and you got hammered when you drove into the lane and all that stuff. And Harrell's a big physical dude, and Luka's not exactly a wallflower. I mean, he talks a little bit himself, and what was I saying? Yeah, it was. I didn't want anything to happen to him, but I am aware of what the NBA. They've spent a lot of time, Jay, the last few weeks, months, social justice. They're wearing the social justice themes on the backs of their jerseys.
Yeah.
They have Black Lives Matter on their floor. They've been very vocal about social justice issues, specifically race. They've been very vocal about it. And in that environment, if all you change is one thing, and Luka Doncic says to Montrezl Harrell, bitch-ass black boy, change one word and change the characters.
We got a problem.
Yeah. Our field would not have been anywhere near as forgiving of Luka Doncic as they were of Montrezl Harrell.
Well, I love
not even close.
I love the idea that he calls Doncic to say sorry, and Doncic is like, for what?
Yeah. I mean, come on. How many times has Doncic heard that? I mean, he isn't going to hear it too many more, I don't think, because people are realizing that he's probably not the guy to piss off.
Yeah, and I mean, Montrezl Harrell ought to be able to get a few stickbacks over Luka Doncic every now and then. I mean, that's kind of his game, right? And Doncic's game is burying you from outside, and Montrezl Harrell's, he's a banger inside. He's a good one. So I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it, and it was funny to me that Doncic is like, don't apologize for that. I just don't even – it doesn't even faze me. Just let's get on with it. So it's a good example of a guy apologizing, the other guy saying, hey, man, we're good, and you move on. Like, it's just – that's the way it should be.
The NBA probably – Ernie Johnson said this on TNT, and I agree with him. The NBA probably needed to put out more of a commentary about it. It was a moment. My point is that when people say, well, it wasn't racially motivated.
I don't think it was either.
And I don't think Montrezl Harrell is a racist. Don't get me wrong. But when you refer to Doncic specifically as a white guy, then that is racially motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, it's where the NBA, man, not even screw that. It's where our field needs to take a big step back and look at this and go, what would we have done if? Because the moment's coming where somebody in the heat of battle says something. You got to have just a little bit of grace in those moments. I agree with what Kenny Smith and Shaq said a little bit, which was, no, I mean, ideally it's not what you say, but man, in between the lines, people say stuff. People compete. I mean, you've covered people, I know, in the course of your career, covering Auburn all these years, who on the floor are kind of crazy.
Yes.
And off the floor are just awesome dudes. But in the moment when they turn it on, man, they're like a different person.
Word.
You shouldn't be judged by your one worst moment in competition. There should just be a little bit more forgiveness, for lack of a better word. And I don't know. I thought Montrezl Harrell got that forgiveness that Luka Doncic would not have received had the roles been reversed. That's the part when people say it's hypocritical. They have a point. But I didn't want to see Montrezl Harrell get suspended or fined or any of that for. Come on.
No, I'm glad it didn't happen. Leif B, Rebel Grove superstar, and also a bunker guy too as well. And he's just great on the multimedia things. Says Falwell Jr. just resigned at Liberty. Hugh Freeze is going to be president now. Hugh has certainly shown a real love for Liberty, being willing to coach out of the hospital bed. I know that was a defining moment for you too. Really show the character of the guy, right?
It did. It showed me how much he loves Liberty, how much he was willing to sacrifice for the young people that play games at Liberty. Hugh is about the kids.
He always has been. I mean,
oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, he's always been players first.
He's a player's coach.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, coaching from a hospital bed, that's going to be a defining moment for him, and it just shows how much he cares.
I mean, not everybody's willing to do that.
You know, somebody who would be willing to do that would be Stacey Wall, because he's willing to go the extra mile to help his folks do anything, really.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because I was just thinking about how I wanted to tell people that this podcast is also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust based in Madison, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states as well. They were founded back in 1997, and they provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and a lot more. What they do is they take care of you. They treat you with the utmost respect and all the thought process that needs to go into your financial planning. They do that there at Pinnacle Trust. They build a box just for you. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You get 10% off your first year's fees. And we are brought to you by our friends at John Edwards and our friends at Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis, Tennessee. If you are thinking about a trip, maybe at the holiday time, maybe you're wanting to do something late this fall. John was telling me the other day about some deals at Florida Keys. Resort rooms that normally go for about $1,100 a night are going for less than $300 a night. There are deals to be had out there in the travel world if you're looking to travel, or if you're just looking to set something up for next summer, you're going to blow it out. You know, you're like, oh man, I'm so glad 2020 is over. I'm going to celebrate it being dead and make a family trip. And I want it to be one that we all remember for the rest of our lives. John can hook you up with deals that you can't find on your own. Just give him a call, give him an email, give him some parameters, give him a budget. He'll give you options. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Administrative assistant and I were talking just the other day about if things were to go haywire in the football season, which I don't think is going to happen. I'm very optimistic, and I know you are as well. We think about sneaking down to the Caribbean a little bit, because you're right. The prices down there are just absurd right now. I know there's a lot of people who are like, hey, man, I wouldn't even consider flying on an airplane right now. It's fine, man. If it's wrong for you, that's fine. I'm not particularly worried about it.
Just imagine what AL.com will do if they get pictures of you down in the Caribbean without your mask on.
A mainland American to the Caribbean.
Montgomery man.
Montgomery man to the Caribbean on a tin can of virus.
Montgomery man hoping to get virus to bring back to Alabama to kill us all. Click here.
Click here. And that's not even the craziest thing. Click here. You know, yeah. We talked a little bit before the show, just our general optimism about this season. It is, for you and I, it has gone up and down over the past 5 or 6 months. But at this point, man, I am as sure as I can be that they're going to get this thing started.
Yeah, I am too. I've watched the way Ole Miss has handled it, the way Lane Kiffin has handled it. I am told that is generally the way that the rest of the league is handling it. The coaches are being very responsible. They're being smart. These programs are being smart, and they're being patient, and all of those things. And as much as these are incredibly competitive people who are wired to try to win, they understand, I think, to maybe even reluctantly, that this season is not just about that. The NCAA ruled that you don't lose a year of eligibility on this, even if you play. So there's I don't know. I think I'm optimistic today. I'm not 100%, but I'm getting there.
A lot of people would say, "Hey, Vandy had some kids get sick, and that was not great, obviously, but not get sick. I'm sorry, that tested positive, I should say. I'm in my earlier comment there." And there's a lot of people who think that the positive tests are the problem. Like, we're trying to avoid positive tests, and they are, but we're really trying to avoid sick kids, which is not happening for the most part. So that's why I think everybody's in a fight to kind of be the most responsible team, honestly.
Absolutely. And I think the way that it's going to go is if, you have 4 or 5 guys that test positive on Friday, they're not going to play Saturday. And so, that could impact a win or a loss. But, the thing about the hunting for the positives, from a football standpoint, they're going to take 3 tests a week. I mean, if you're positive, you're going to get – it's going to come out. I mean, you're going to not be able to play. But this talk about going to a dorm and testing the whole dorm or testing the whole sorority house, that feels like a university that's hunting for cases, looking for a reason to shut down. And I don't get it. Unless the kids are symptomatic, chill out.
That's the situation my daughter's dealing with, right? So she's had 2 friends there at South test positive. Both of them. You had to get a test before you went to your first class. Now, Matt, I think you have a 14-day window before your first class. You need to get a test in there. Maddie got one here in Montgomery before she went, tested negative. She's good to go at South Alabama. 2 of her friends who did not get tested at home, who waited until they got to Mobile, then tested positive, and they got quarantined. So it's like the kids there are like, there ain't no way I'm going to get tested voluntarily because I don't want to go to the quarantine dorm, and unless I'm sick, I don't care. I mean, you could say that's wrong, but
this is what's happened. People are pushing back, and so what happens now is because people don't trust the draconian 14-day quarantine. I have medical people who say that's insane. There's no reason to quarantine a person who's asymptomatic for 14 days. It's senseless.
Senseless.
And so what happens now is the kids are going, hey, I don't want that to happen to me. So even if I have a couple of symptoms, now you're not asymptomatic, you're mildly symptomatic. Those kids are keeping their mouths closed.
Yep.
They're not telling anybody. And so that's how it spreads instead of being smart about it. But this is, man, the water's out of the boat or whatever, however you say that. I mean, we're way past. The toothpaste is out of the tube. We're way past that. It's too late now.
Yep. And it's just not set up right. It's like you get penalized for doing that.
Well, you do. You get, you happen to test positive and you're asymptomatic and you get penalized and you get told, oh, everybody keeps going, this is all the kids' fault. The kids are being irresponsible in their behavior. Is it possible that the virus is just working its way through society?
It's possible.
I mean, yeah, do the kids need to have massive parties of 150 people? It's funny here in Oxford. Some kids got kind of shamed a little bit last week. They had a party on like a Wednesday night or something, and I don't know, a couple of kids tested positive. I don't know whether it came from that party or not or whatever. But my point was, well, if you sons of bitches had stuck to your original schedule and started school when you said you were going to start school on that Wednesday night, instead of them all being out at another party, they'd have been home getting ready for school the next day. There wouldn't have been a Wednesday night party and a Monday night party and all the damn parties that the kids have had because you've extended summer for another month.
Damn.
I mean, that's my point, is have a conversation. Let's get real about it. This whole thing about shaming kids because they go out is stupid. We went out when we were that age. They go out at this age. Their kids will go out at that age. It's not fair to, we'll chalk it up and be done. It's not fair to walk into a dorm room like the one that your daughter lives in, or a sorority house like the one that my daughter lives in, and go, hey, listen now, y'all all stay locked up in your rooms and don't leave. And if you do, put on a mask and don't go anywhere and don't do anything. You're 19 years old and you're healthy, and this is the time of your life, and you've looked forward to this, and you're around all these other like-minded people who are like you, and it's fun. But no, stay in the dorm. That's stupid.
That's what I say to that, Neal.
And then AL.com's out looking pictures. Oh God, here we're gonna find them and put them out and go, look at these irresponsible kids.
Kid shaming is the worst.
It's the absolute worst. Some of those dudes at AL.com and places like that. I mean, I'm one to talk. I didn't exactly have the greatest social life in the world when I was in college, but I'm fairly sure some of those guys have never seen a girl without her clothes on.
Okay. Just a couple other things. Gus was talking the other day about, Gus Malzahn was talking about this season, said, quote, it's a year about adjusting.
Yes.
And also said you just got to have an open mind about how you handle things. I mean, meaning you need to go ahead and enter this season knowing there's going to be times when you have kids that are not going to be available. And they've been cross-training guys at Auburn more than they ever have, particularly on defense. So, like the safeties have played some cornerback, et cetera, just to make sure if we go down 3 cornerbacks, you've actually taken reps. I'm sure Ole Miss is doing this, State, Alabama.
They are. They Lane Kiffin talked about this today.
So
something very similar that, yeah, they're right. He said right now, like someone asked about Florida or something. He goes, man, we're Ole Miss opens with Florida. He's like, we're weeks from that. We're focused on just trying to get as many people ready. He made the comment. He goes, a depth chart's in sand right now. There's really no depth chart. You're moving people around. You're looking at different things, and you're understanding. I've heard kids say it. Some of the players say it. They get it. There might be a week where 3 of your top 5 cornerbacks are unavailable, and so you've got to move a safety over there, or you've got to change your scheme a little, and this is going to suck. Might be the week that you play a game that you otherwise would have won, and that ends up kind of getting you, and you lose. But this is like Gus said, like he's exactly right. This is a season that's not about that.
No, it's not. Nobody's getting fired.
Nobody is getting fired for on-field performance.
All right, we're going to wrap up the Greatest Pod of the South right there, episode 111. Can you believe we made it 111 shows, McCready?
I know, it's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe.
Especially with me being this way. Hard to believe.
Big thanks to our friends at Automation and Control Systems. Clay McNutt in Baldwin, Mississippi is an absolute stud. Everybody knows that. They're your spot. If you know the things that Neal's talking about when he does his reader about the panel shop, if those things matter to you, and there's people out there who do, Clay's your guy. I mean, that's the bottom line. Also, John Edwards is a stud. We love him. Stacy Wall, Penn Trust, great folks there. And, of course, Cathead Distillery, Major and the whole crew there, just have been with us from the very, very beginning, who believed in this show before anybody else, before you even heard about it. Major.
Before we believed in it.
He believed in it. So I thank all those guys for being part of the show. And thank you for listening into the show this time. We will check you guys next week. Usually we do this on Sundays. We did it on Monday because I was at bid day yesterday. You can blame me, but we will stick with you. Anyway, guys, for Neal McCready, I am JG Tate saying peace, love, be good.